Needless to say, this opened up wounds that I believe were fully closed for a long time. And I had already made my peace with being abandoned and in my mind discarded. And honestly, I was not prepared to deal with the emotional fallout that ensued. So I wanted to do this video to share some of the things that I've been going through over the last few months. I actually have a script that I created just so that I can make sure that even if I get emotional, I stay on track. Hopefully it won't come to that, but we'll see. My intent with this is that those who watch me understand that we all go through things, and even if you're a spiritual teacher or a life coach like I am, that we all struggle and that it's all okay. It's okay not to be perfect and not to always know the answer and to not know what to do. That all of that is a part of being human, and I am saying this for myself as much as I am saying it for those of you who need to hear this. Now, I want to say I don't often do this. In fact, if I'm trying to think, I don't think I've ever done this in my channel before. I can't think of any other time because it feels a little bit self-indulgent, but I really felt called to share this, so here it is. Well, I have shared bits and pieces of my life before through blogs and videos, but it has always been in the context of illustrating the topic in a more tangible way. And here I think I'll do the opposite, which is I will share what I've been going through and use that as a springboard to talk about personal growth. So, about a year ago, I unexpectedly found my birth family. I'm adopted, and prior to last year, I had no information on my birth family at all. And through some bizarre absent-minded DNA testing, I ended up finding my birth mother, birth father, and a heap of half siblings. Needless to say, this opened up wounds that I believe were fully closed for a long time. And I had already made my peace with being abandoned and in my mind discarded. And honestly, I was not prepared to deal with the emotional fallout that ensued. Now, I won't go into too much detail because I want to protect the privacy of the others involved, but I will say that the meeting with my birth mother did not go well. It was polite and it wasn't, terrible, but it left me feeling worse emotionally. Shortly thereafter, and honestly, in my opinion, triggered really by this emotional tornado, I got COVID, I was diagnosed with gallstones, liver inflammation, ovarian cyst, uterine fibroids, more thyroid nodules, got swarmed by wasps. I fell pretty hard and injured my knee and my wrist. All of this in a period of like 6 to 8 months. And I do want to mention this because I think it's important because of other videos that I've done where I talk about how common it is for emotional issues to manifest themselves physically. So I did have to spend some time finding the common thread between all of these, and basically, without going into too much detail, is that my body felt like it was under attack because I felt like I was under emotional attack for a lot of different reasons. It goes back to memories of the womb, etc. But there is always a common denominator with all of these physical symptoms that show up when they are a result of emotional stress or emotional trauma. There's usually a common thread, and if you can find that thread, it can help facilitate the healing process for you, which is what I have been doing for the last year of my life. Furthermore, and partly because of this, my business took a back seat. And this process is also making me reevaluate what I want from and for my business as a whole. It also delayed my plans to move to another country because where I live now, I can get great medical care for a very reasonable price. And with all of these medical issues coming up, going back to the US didn't seem like the best option financially. So basically, I've had a lot going on, and ever since I started this journey, I've always been able to have some level of clarity, even if I only know what my next step is and I cannot see the full picture. I've always have been able to have some level of clarity of where I'm going to go next. And I have to say, throughout this process, I've basically had no clue. No clue about what I wanted, where I was going, what my life was doing, what was happening, how it was happening, why it was happening. I mean, obviously, throughout the process, I started connecting the dots and putting the pieces together. And I am in a much better place now, but I'm still navigating through all of this. Which, if I'm honest, has left me feeling stuck and a bit deflated about my life and my future. So I was actually talking to a healer I work with, and yes, I do have a coach slash healer myself. And I gave her the analogy that I feel like I'm in a tornado, or more accurately, in the eye of a hurricane, and I'm standing still and in one piece, but I cannot see what's on the other side of the storm. Now, I know there's a whole world out there, but I cannot see it. All I can see is the wind and the debris that are in the way, right, all around me. And I'm like in the eye, in the middle, just perfectly still, just watching all of this craziness happen around me. I'm not sure if any of you have experienced something similar before, whether it's the circumstances or that feeling, but sometimes I felt overwhelmed, but mostly what I felt was deflated and sorry for myself and very resentful. I am on the upswing now, which is the good news. And though I've had some additional difficulties, I'm feeling a lot more like in my groove, you know? So I don't know why I did that. But anyways, that was a bit cringe. But anyways, so all of this to say that I am myself as a healer and a coach. I'm actually also going through a process, painful processes, struggling with trying to figure things out for myself, trying to heal, trying to move forward, trying to figure out what is happening around me means and how that's going to impact my life, and how do I move forward and still create the life that I want to live. And I want to share some of the things that I'm doing to facilitate my own healing and navigate this whole shit show. And I'm sharing them here in the hopes that they're also helpful to others that are going through tough times as well. So one of the things that I'm doing is energy and karma work to help heal some of those wounds that go beyond this lifetime and beyond my own surroundings. I am also doing somatic work to help release some of the anger and resentment that I'm holding in my body, specifically towards my birth mother and towards the universe as a whole, because of these circumstances. Not just these where I'm encountering these issues, but the circumstances of my birth as well. I think I mentioned before, I've had some resentment towards my birth mother and the universe, and anger as well because of that. So I'm doing some of the somatic work to help release some of that from my physical body. The energetic work is trying to release it from my soul and karma and energetic bodies, but the physical body also holds emotions, and I have a couple of videos where I talk about that if you're interested. But I also want to learn and continue, or not learn, but continue to work on releasing that from my body as well. I am also, like I mentioned before, working with a coach and healer to help facilitate my navigation through the emotional wounds and healing those emotional wounds, because even though I do this work for a living and I can do some of this work on my own, part of my learning, of my journey right now, is to learn to ask for and to receive support. So that is one of the things that I'm working really hard at and that I sometimes struggle with, but also is important because sometimes when it's your own shit, you have a real hard time seeing things and perceiving things accurately. So for me, it's really helpful to have another person that specializes in this to help guide me and help me and help point out certain things that I may be able to see them if I were working with a client. So I would see them for my client, but because it's my own process, I may be blind too. I'm also working with a nutritionist and seeing special medical specialists and taking medication and doing a bunch of other very tangible 3D physical stuff to help as well to make this process as easy as possible for me. I'm also dancing and listening to music a lot because it really shifts my energy and my mood. And I have been so focused on the pain and all of the to-dos around everything that has happened that I sort of lost my connection with music. And this came very recently, like a couple of weeks ago. I started going back to the gym and had my earphones on and was listening to Bruno Mars and some Latin music and whatever. And all of a sudden I got this rush of energy and feel and like really good, energy and feeling in my body, which obviously is hormonal, so it's very physical and tangible, but it also has a psychological and an emotional impact. And I remembered, I was like, oh, I used to go to Zumba class every day when I lived in Boston, not because I needed to exercise as much, or I'm not particularly a fan of exercise, but because I love dancing and I love music. And the Zumba teacher was amazing. So I love to go Zumba and listen and dance and move and connect with other people. And over the last few months, because I was so focused on what was going on in my life, I had lost touch with that. So music and dancing, and really, if music and dancing are not your things, activities that you enjoy can actually be really helpful. Because, I mean, yeah, the last year has been a process of healing for me. Physically, emotionally, energetic, in every single way. I've been peeling a few more layers of this never ending onion we call life. And I'm not there yet, but I'm really putting into practice the multidimensional framework that I use when I work with my own clients. And honestly, the morbid sense of humor that was created in my childhood as a coping mechanism, but that I enjoy very much and I'm keeping, by the way, may have cost us at all, because I'm constantly saying, or I was constantly saying, that this was my last lifetime as a human and I wanted to make the most efficient use of my time here because I didn't want to have to do this again. And I think the universe heard me loud and clear and said, oh, okay, here you go. Here's all this crap for you to deal with all at once. So, well, I don't think I can take it back now. I'm not sure that given the option, I would. I mean, all things considered, I know there are millions of people in the world going through much, much worse. And that's not a statement intended to dismiss or diminish or invalidate my own struggles or anyone else's for that matter. But what it does is it helps me put things into perspective, because even with everything that's going on, I'm in a position where I can pay to receive great medical care without ruining my finances. I have people that I can lean on for support and plenty of tools and stools, of course, yeah, Freudian slip. Plenty of tools and skills to help me navigate this, which is, let's not mince our words, a complete and utter shit show. So I have gratitude that the medical things that I'm dealing with are not life-threatening, and that I'm in an environment and in a time in my life where I have enough flexibility in my schedule that I can take the time that I need to heal all of these wounds: physical, emotional, psychological, energetic. So all of that said, I hope this little confessional is helpful or at least entertaining to you. And look at that, I made it through the whole thing without crying. So thank you for watching, and until next time, namaste.